I'm Kalyra from Costumes, Fluff, and Other Stuff, and today I'd like to walk you through how I made my bracer. But just ignore the metal parts for now. All I'm going to be covering is how to do the pattern for the actual bracer itself. And for necessary materials, it really depends on the type of fabric you'd like to use. But regardless of that, you'll still need the basics like a tape measure, a ruler, something to draw with, a piece of paper for your pattern. When you get this all finished up, the eyelets and lace and, you know, your basic staples like that. So to get started, we'll do the pattern, and that's going to be a trapezoid shape. Now to get this trapezoid shape, we need 3 measurements: the bracer top, the bracer length, and the bracer base. We'll start with the bracer top, and to get that, bring out your tape measure and measure your wrist. Now at this point, you're also going to have to decide how much of a gap you want at your wrist. Generally the gap is smaller here and widens further out up your arm. Once you've measured out your wrist and decided the gap you want, you take your wrist measurement and you subtract the desired gap, and then you're left with your bracer top number. Do yourself a favor though, take this new number, measure it out, and just put that around your wrist with the gap showing, so you can just visually confirm that this is the look you want to go with. And once you're happy with it, make sure you write that number down. Now the next is the bracer length, and this one's pretty simple. All you have to do is just put your tape measure up your arm and just decide how long you want your bracer, how much of your arm you want covered, that sort of a thing. So once you've decided that, and this is 6 inches, once you've decided that, write that number down as well. Now the last number we need is the bracer base. And a good general rule is to take the bracer top measurement and add 2 inches. But because all of our bodies are different, and it also depends on how long you made your bracer, I mean shorter ones aren't going to need a full 2 inches. So just take your bracer top, add 2 inches, put that onto your tape measure, and just wrap it around your arm, and again visually confirm that that style is going to work for you. You may have to jimmy it around a little bit. It might not actually be a full 2 inches for you. So once you're happy with that number, write it down as well. So now you've got your 3 numbers. And now we trade our tape measure in for our ruler, and we go to our pattern paper. The first number we will jot down, or we will draw out, is the bracer base, because it's the biggest number, and so we'll draw that on the bottom of the paper just to make sure we've got enough space for our whole design. Now the bracer I'm working on is for a man, so his bracer base measurement is 10 inches. So I'm going to go to the bottom of my paper and draw out 10 inches. Now from here on in, we have to measure from the middle outwards to make sure we get the correct shape. So for me, the middle would be 5 inches. I'm going to make a little tick. And what we do at that halfway point is we're going to draw the bracer length measurement. And that's going to go straight up like we're making an upside down T, letter T, capital letter T. So I'm going to just dot this line though, because I don't plan on cutting it. So we just need it to space everything out. So this is going to be upside down for you, but you can see the start of the T. And along the top is going to be the bracer top measurement. And in the case of the set I'm making now, that is 8 inches. So since we're going from the middle outwards, that's 4 inches along this side and 4 inches along the other side. So you can see that we're left with basically a capital letter I, a little lopsided. And the last thing we're going to do is fill in these edges here. We're going to close the shape in. So go ahead and do that. And that's it. We've got, as promised, the trapezoid shape. So all you need to do is cut that out and you have your pattern. So depending on the type of material you use, if you went with a leather, pleather, vinyl, or something like that where you don't have to finish the edges, you're actually almost done. You just need to cut out the shape and put that onto your material, and if you're like me, you're not going to want to put pinholes, so that's why I have the masking tape, so I can just take the vinyl and just smooth it out on there. So if that's the kind of material you're going with, you don't need to leave a seam allowance or anything like that. Just cut exactly along the pattern, and once you have that cut out, put your eyelets down the angled edges. I believe I went with these ones. They are 3/16 of an inch eyelets, and I went about an inch down. But it's all up to you, whatever you like, whatever you have around the house, whatever you prefer. So you're done. If you chose a fabric that has edges that you're going to need to finish, which is pretty much anything else, just cut with your normal seam allowance so that you can fold the material in and sew around the outside and have that all finished. And then put the eyelets in and you're done as well. Now if you're like me, you're going to be adding heavier decorative pieces. It's a little bit different at this point, but it's not too difficult. Basically it's a thicker material that you'll need to have for the actual bracer, and then cut the good fabric out with a seam allowance around it so you can fold it over the thicker material and glue it down. So the thicker material that I went with is just stiff felt. You buy it at the fabric stores. They come in rectangular shapes, a few different colors, and it's really fabulous stuff. So I cut it out exactly along the pattern. And at this point, you're going to want to force a curve into the thicker material that you're using, just to avoid getting really thick creases throughout it. So force a curve into it, and then take your good material. For me, it's going to be newspaper because unfortunately my new bracer is all black. So black on black, you're not going to see anything. So we'll go with newspaper. And all you do is just put the good material around it, around the actual bracer. Take some fabric glue, and I recommend Fabric Tack. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I cannot find any faults with it. And when I did this for this one, I drizzled it along the back, put my good fabric on over it, and I actually grabbed a rolling pin so I could just smooth it down on there with even amounts of pressure, and it actually makes quite a difference. So that's the back part, and then you're left with the seams. The edges are pretty straightforward. You just fold them over and glue them down on both sides. The curve is a little bit tricky, because if you were to try and fold it over and pin it down like you do on the sides, once you try and get your curve back, you're going to end up with lots of wrinkles. It's really not going to sit nicely. So it's an easy fix. The way to avoid that is just cut tabs into your good material, and so that when you're folding it over, and the tabs only go as far down as your seam allowance, so that when you're folding it over, holding the curve shape, my fingers will probably be in the way, but hopefully you can get the idea that the tabs are actually going to overlap. Fingers are completely in the way. There we go. The tabs are going to overlap, and you want that. It ends up making it lay flat on this side, and that's what I did for these. You can see it is completely flat. So once the glue sets on this, all you have to do is punch in your eyelets and you're done as well. So a bit of an extra step, but it's worth it, and it's not too bad. And if you do one like this, you're probably going to want to put some softer material in after you've decorated it, just because the glue can be a little bit stiff, so it's nice to have this kind of finished up on the inside. But if you're not adding any decorative things, you don't really have to worry about that step. And that is pretty much it. So not too bad, pretty simple and straightforward. So if you think this is something that will work for you, I'm very excited about that, and I'd love to see anything anybody comes up with. And if you're like me and you learn a little bit better through things written down, I've actually got this tutorial written out step by step on my blog with pictures and everything, and I'll put the link down in the description. So that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a terrific day.